Hey y'all, that's Cody.
And
Good.
that's Erica. And that's Erica. Yep. Hello. Hello. That was you. That wasn't you at all.
Hi.
I tried. I tried. Welcome to our Unarticulate. I can't even speak. There it was. Welcome to Unarticulate. This is our podcast where we talk about nonsense and we can't speak. So this is us talking about nonsense as we speak English poorly. So welcome. I'm so sorry for everything you have to hear in the next X amount of minutes. More like an hour. He he he. Um, but that's the way it is. That's the way it be.
We keep getting longer.
Yes.
Do not keep your that's what she said to
I'm
yourself.
not.
Okay.
It was so difficult too. I was just letting it happen. You're the one that said it, not me.
I
I,
know.
I put way too much
I know.
emphasis on the T there too. You're the one that said it. So, I'm just saying.
Okay. How are you?
All right, so I'm great. How are you doing? Well, I guess that's you telling me how what's up with my life. Um, what is up with my life? I feel like it's been so long since we last spoke. It's been an entire 7 days, 7 rotations around the axis. I don't think that's how you say that. The moon has been doing things, right? It's like a third through its, cycle of going around the earth or something. I don't know how, whatever it is. What I'm saying is the past 7 days have been so interesting. No, I don't know what has been up. I've been, I don't know, reorganizing my life a little bit. As people may have known, that like with my cat passing, in these past couple days over the weekend, um, I actually, well, this is recording on Monday, so it's Thursday for you all now. So this past weekend, I did my deep cleaning of my apartment, of like putting things into storage, just not trying to remove any, like I'm not trying to get rid of the thought of Leo. It's more or less the, um, I don't necessarily need to have cat stuff out 24/7 in my apartment anymore. It should be put elsewhere, have it nice and clean, that if I decide I want to get a cat, it's all ready for me. I don't have to, you know, remove hair and have cats like being territorial over things or that confusion. But also, if I decide I don't want a cat anymore and I want to get a dog, or I don't want a pet for a while, I could go ahead and then donate it, and then it's nice and cleaned up. So that was a weird experience. I am at a place where I thought I was ready, um, and out of nowhere, after cleaning everything and just being, you know, in my apartment, like out of nowhere, I just got abnormally sad, and I just started crying, and I was like, I mean, this isn't abnormal in terms of like, like this is part of the grieving process or whatever, but it was the fact that it was just out of nowhere that I was like, there was nothing that triggered it. It was just that I was there in the moment, and then boom. So I don't know. I feel like I am now at a place where like I can see things and not be like, I don't feel my heart cracking in, in my rib cage or whatever. I just feel more, at peace, I guess, is fair. Maybe not. I also was looking into what my next step is for animals. So there's a place where I could go get cats if I want a cat, if I want to adopt. I also have access to kittens that will be available in coming weeks if I wanted to start super fresh and have a little baby. So yeah, I'm trying to think if anything else is significant. Uh, I don't know. I've started. So I'll talk about it later. But my gaming group, we have moved into a new phase of gaming where we've been playing Phasmophobia. For those who don't know, that's a ghost hunting game, and it's very fun. And we've been doing that a lot. And we've transitioned into another game, and I will talk about that later. And so it's been fun, kind of taking my mind off of things, getting out of work, not having work thoughts in my weekend, which is kind of nice. Yeah. What about you?
Um, I think that I just want to say that like I think it's important for you to have those grieving moments and like don't be hard on yourself about it because it's very natural and not unexpected and there's no expectation around the things that you're going through. Like
Yeah.
from friend to friend. But um I had uh my brain just stopped working. My brain's been just like glitching today where I'm like in the middle of conversation and then I'm like, I don't know what I'm telling you anymore. Sorry. Um oh, I had my second annual Easter egg hunt for my dog because that's a thing I do now.
I love that.
I have an egg hunt for my dog. And my parents came up to visit. Had like I have a tiny apartment and I'm very thankful for my tiny apartment because I don't have to pay for anything because I'm in res life, so I get that free anemone amenity anemone. Um, but it's tiny. It's a little space, and it was me and my parents, and then two huskies. So that was funny at one point in time. But it was really nice. And then my best friend's birthday is this week. Becca's birthday is on Tuesday. You know Becca. Um, so really quick
No
shout
clue.
out to
No
Becca.
clue.
Happy birthday. No idea who Becca is. You haven't like celebrated New Year's with us before. It's fine.
I know, right?
um and then oh my gosh. So do you know Corpse husband? Do you know who that is?
Corpse?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So he does he's been doing Among Us with Jacksepticeye. He has the really deep voice. I don't know why I tried to deepen my voice whenever I was talking there. But yeah, so Corpse Husband, he has music too. It's beautiful. It's great. But there's a K-pop band called Stray Kids, and one of them, his name is Felix, and he has a deep voice that I just didn't expect. Um, and I discovered this through TikTok. So yeah, so if you want, if you want to feel very surprised, um, listen to Stray Kids, God's Menu, and you can hear Felix's deep, deep, deep voice that just comes out of nowhere. And then today, apparently, is the 10 year celebration of Game of Thrones.
Okay, pause there, Nick. Just make note of this. We're
Okay.
going to pause really quick. All right. Nick, we're back. We had to change some things, so I'm just going to start from there. But you talked about Game of Thrones, so I will bring that up. That's a nice yawn. All right. So, so I'm starting here. Yes, so Game of Thrones. Um, Before we get to that, how to do a quick mess up because everything's weird and technology sucks. And I'm also going to be eating
Yeah.
Twizzlers Bites cherry because that means a lot to me. So, yes, Game of Thrones 10th anniversary. Super duper excited because that, if you don't notice right there, we have, you know, all the things. Game of Thrones. We also have Squiddy back there, bold and brash, more like belongs in the trash, you know. But yes, Game of Thrones. I think that was one of the things that made us relate to one another very well. Um,
I think so. We have the most bonding around Game of Thrones.
yes,
We have the most bonding around Game of Thrones gaming.
oddly,
um and nonsense. There's like other nonsense mixed in there.
we're just nonsensical. It's great.
Recent Recently Marvel because that's the universe that I just got
Oh
into.
my gosh, no spoilers, but Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Mm, mm, mm.
Ah, I love it.
So
My eyeshadow is actually based off of Nebula from Guardians of the Galaxy. So,
I need this to not make noise when I get into this bag. So
it's
I'm just
going
gonna
to.
make a lot of noise for you all. This is, oh, there it is. There it is. Just shakes them out. There we go.
Welcome back to our ASMR
I'm
channel.
so sorry. So, without spoiling anything, just a little bit of backstory for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I love this conversation that's coming up of like um, of Sam or the Falcon, right?
Mhm.
It's this conversation of the mantle of Captain America, and Sam is supposed to be the man that's taking up the mantle. That's what he was supposed to do. But how can he take up the mantle of a place that doesn't value him as a black man? Right?
Yes.
All the sound. I love that.
I'm so
It's
sorry.
okay. No, I definitely value this conversation that's happening. And Wyatt Russell. Oh my gosh, Wyatt
Oh, he's
Russell.
the most hateable man in this show.
And I feel so bad because I think he's a great actor. Um, the son of Kurt Russell and oh, what's her name?
Goldie Hawn?
Yeah, Goldie Hawn. Yeah, he's great. I really liked him in Black Mirror, the one episode that he was in. It was kind of like a haunted house kind of vibing thing.
Oh, the gaming one,
Mm-hmm.
the VR gaming one
Yep.
where it, like, because doesn't his dad have this is a ton of spoilers, I'm so sorry, but doesn't his dad have Alzheimer's? Like, isn't that the whole like,
No,
that's, like, the crutch of the episode?
I thought it was.
Isn't somebody in his family sick?
I don't remember, but yes, it's the VR one. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you're right, he's in the haunted
so
house.
good. 10 out of 10.
Mhm.
Anyway, yes, I definitely am very much a fan of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Glad that that's happening. Sad that it's 6 episodes. It is what
Oh
it
my
is.
gosh. It's like and I think the other really, like yes, I agree wholeheartedly because I think that, like so they're talking about Isaiah. This is tons of spoilers. Nick will probably talk to you in, like, a second and be like, "Hey, there's tons of spoilers, sorry."
These next couple of minutes contain spoilers for Falcon and Winter Soldier. Please skip to 18 minutes if necessary. Thank you.
He has his cameos, and we love him for that. Um, oh, you have a correction about Sweet Baby Nick, but we'll talk about that in
Yes.
a second. Um, but, like, they're bringing in Isaiah and, like, how he was treated and, like, uh, how Isaiah, um, basically was told to get the shield and then was arrested and put in jail for 30 years. Like, that was kind of the direction that that
Yeah.
went and just, like, and how, like, basically he's damned as a black man even though he and Steve have the same exact serum in their
Right.
bodies. Um, and then, like, the conversation I think the thing that sticks out the most to me, of things that, like, Sam has said to Bucky is, like, Sam doesn't get because of the view of black individuals in America, Sam doesn't get to be loud and, like, irrational like Bucky does. Like,
Mm,
Bucky has all of these outbursts and is, like, really just like, "Why did this happen? No." And Sam's like, "I can't." Like, the line he says is something along the lines of, like, "You and Steve don't understand." And they don't understand because they haven't lived his life. Like, he has been profiled, like, in episode 2, you saw the racial profiling,
right.
and then the other, like, really hateable thing about John Walker as Captain America is that, like, he used a police siren to get the attention of a black man.
Yeah.
Like, what? What how screwed up is that?
Yeah.
Um, so I think it's this really it's an important conversation that's being had, and I think it's allowing other people not allowing, that's not the correct word, but, like, I think it gives a space for people to kind of be more aware and, like, turn on that lens and being like, "Hey, yeah, that's messed up, and, like, we need to talk about that," and, like, having conversations around that. I actually just s very s not similar, but, like, in the same vein, have you ever watched Watchmen on
No.
HBO? So Watchmen on HBO, so the very first episode actually does, um, I think it's Greensburg, Oklahoma, where, basically what happened is that so Watchmen, the very first episode, views like orbits around the like the chaos mass murder that happens I think it's Greensville, Oklahoma. Um,
Nevertheless.
I'm gonna look it up really quick
Oh, okay.
because I need. It's the Tulsa Race Massacre. Greenwood, the Greenwood district in Tulsa,
Okay.
Oklahoma. So, so it opens up with that, and they're like, and the story I heard all of this from was from My Favorite Murder, and that's actually what kind of I didn't realize that there was. So in my head, Watchmen the show was just a spin-off of Watchmen the movie, and Watchmen the movie I didn't really like.
Mm,
It was confusing and all over the place. So I was like, I'm not gonna get into that. But Watchmen the show is actually like phenomenal acting, really interesting storyline.
right.
It does kind of shoot off of the branch of the movie, but it takes place a few years later.
Okay.
Um, but it opens up with the Tulsa Race Massacre, um, and like it talks it like it kind of shows you. Um, there's a lot of conversation. It doesn't show you. There, it does show
Okay.
you. This is the part of my brain just shutting off. I'm trying to tell you so many things, and it's just like no.
Okay.
But it shows you, and you can see just like racist actions and hate and violence against against black individuals in the show, and like how in the show the police have like they wear face masks so that um the people in this group this racist group don't find where they live to kill them.
Got
And
it.
like it's also a really good show that I introduced to my parents over the weekend. Anyway, but yes, Falcon and Winter Soldier is so good.
Good connection back. There you go. Yeah, no, I'm very excited to see where they go with this. And then you can just keep fangirling over um, all of the Bucky Barnes.
Listen, I fangirl over Sam too. I have watched so many Anthony Mackie um, interviews recently, and I also am trying to figure out which which Falcon pop figure I want,
Uh-huh.
because there's the one where he has the wings and he's flying,
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh, he looks so cute. But then there's the one where he has red wing, and I'm like, oh, I don't know.
yeah.
So
I
yeah,
really like the interview where he's like, Sebastian Stan, my man, or something like that. And then he just keeps going. And I'm just like, yes. Yes, Mackie, get it. So yeah, that's I love it. I'm trying to think back, so I apologize to everyone. I think I said this. We've been having technical issues because technology is stupid. Um, and so I'm trying to think back of our original recording of this, what we talked about. Oh yes, sweet baby Nick. So Nick, our audio technician, insert all the words that we can possibly describe Nick as, and all the things he does. Nick, we talked about Sweet Baby Ray's. If they were to ever sponsor us, we would love for them to create a line called Sweet Baby Nick. And I said they're going to create a line called Sweet Baby Ray's instead of putting Nick in there. So I did a great job. Thank you. And if that's not true and Nick is pulling my leg, I'm making the correction now that I said Sweet Baby Ray's instead of Sweet Baby Nick. So I apologize, Sweet
you
Baby
did
Nick,
say
and that's it.
you did say.
And that's all I got. I
Uh,
have no other corrections. I am not apologetic for any mistakes I have ever made ever except Nick's.
all right.
This is not true.
I was gonna
All
say.
right, so I tasked us to do spontaneity today. So why don't you tell me how you felt about that?
It was a mess. So we had texted yesterday in the evening, and I was like, what are we going to talk about tomorrow? Because normally we have that conversation at some point in time in the week, whether it's after we record or whenever that happens. Um, and you responded with surprise topic, to which I said, okay. And then
Yep.
went to bed without a second thought, and then woke up this morning and was walking my dog and was like, I have nothing interesting to tell Cody about. I have nothing interesting. I am not funny. I'm not an interesting person. I have nothing in my brain that hasn't already been talked about. And then as I was doing my whole face today, um
What is
I
your
put
whole
on
face?
music, and I
Hold
like
on. What is your whole face?
I already said it's Nebula from Guardians of the
Oh yeah,
Galaxy.
you did do that, didn't you? So
Yeah,
all
it's
I'm
Nebula.
saying is that Erica she has her own Instagram. She does things for her Instagram. She has an Instagram for her dog. But Erica, who does a great job with makeup, from my understanding, I'm not a beauty guru, insert words that talk about the beauty community, whatever. I'm not a person that knows the things about it. But I assume that if she did all the things TikTok, Instagram, whatever related to makeup, she would probably do well for us and our podcast. But no, for your makeup, you should do things like that. I have said this many times. I'm just bringing it up again.
If you want, you can follow us on Instagram and maybe you'll see a picture of my face with the Nebula
Yes.
look.
Unarticulate podcast, one word, and it's unarticulate,
One word.
not inarticulate. Just make sure you get that right, because Apple does not agree with unarticulate.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, so what are these stories that you have for us? Spontaneously.
So so I was doing my whole face and and I like went into a weird panic mode that doesn't normally happen
Mm-hmm.
unless I'm like trying to public speak. I'm not a good public speaker, so like yeah, let's do a podcast. And if we ever get big and we are famous, I'm going to hate touring. I'm going to hate touring so much.
We're gonna have a great time, especially with Storm.
Oh my gosh, it's gonna be a time. And then we'll have to shout out our first 10, our 10 initial followers. We see you.
We don't know who you
We
are,
see you, boo.
but thank you.
But we love
One
you
is Anita.
for everything. I don't think one is Anita because so I asked her, I was like, hey, skip the second episode and listen to the third one because I say hi to you. And she's like, oh, I can't figure out this. Like, she couldn't figure out something. I was like, all right, guess you'll never know.
Oh no, Anita. We want you and my mom to have a podcast.
So I don't know, but my best friend. Did I shout out my best friend?
It's her birthday.
Oh, it's
not
her birthday. It's her birthday is tomorrow. But my best friend listened to it, and when we took a week off, she was like, "I was so ready," and then I saw that something happened, and I was like, "Oh no, something happened." But like selfishly, was like, "Where's the podcast?" I was like, "We are people." So, and then I have another friend.
You just
who has
collecting
recently
all
started
the friends.
all the
This is
friends.
unfair.
I haven't. I'm sorry. You can talk about what your RAs are doing, but I have another friend who also had listened to it, and he was like, "How long have you known Cody?" And I was like, "Probably 3 years. Why?" And he was like, "So who rubs off on each other? Like because your mannerisms are the same." And I was like, "That's how Cody and I met. We met and acted the exact same." And it's just spread from there.
Yes.
So I'm glad to see that our influence is just going out there. But anyway, in the fever dream of me trying to get ready for today, I was like, I'm not interesting. I'm not an interesting person. I don't know. So I in my head was like, Cody's gonna want to talk about embarrassing stories because I thought about one embarrassing story that you have because it was recently Easter and then Game of Thrones happened, but I'm not gonna we're not gonna talk about that unless you
We
want
can
to.
talk about it, but I thought these were supposed to be your embarrassing stories.
I have three. So I wrote down three embarrassing stories because I got so nervous. I was like, I need to come prepared to be kind of interested.
Okay.
So that's where I'm at. And then speaking of my boy Sebastian Stan earlier, um, I was on TikTok and I was watching random TikTokers, duh. And there was this like clip from a monologue that he did called Highway, and I ended up watching the whole thing, and the the beginning of it is really chaotic, and then the end of it made me cry, and I almost had an existential crisis about it. It's fine.
Interesting.
I felt a lot of things today.
I was gonna say we're here, we're there, we're everywhere. So tell me about your
Yes.
embarrassing story.
My embarrassing. Oh my god. I don't know.
Do you want me to tell mine first?
No, I have a few. So going back to my one friend who says that you and I have the same mannerisms, um, the building that I oversaw last year, one of them sent an incriminating picture to the entire building.
Uh-huh.
not good. So my friend works in the Title IX office and did a training
Okay.
for the Title or for like Res Life for like through the Title IX office, and in the very beginning, he's talking about like introductions and stuff, and then talking about like what's the most common Title IX violation. Um, and I don't remember how we got there, but someone was like dick pics. To which he said, well, it is. It's pretty common on college campuses. To which he said, "Yeah, ask Erica. She knows all about that." And then I became the dick pic queen that I didn't want to become and was like wanted to crawl up into my skin. I have never had a moment where I wanted to crawl into my skin more than I did in that moment.
So he is saying that in the way that you are reflecting on, you had to deal with an incident related to a dick, right? And cool.
Because somebody had texted me and was like, "Did you send a dick pic to people?" I was like, "No." So that's
You need to
one.
stop sending all your dick pics to everybody, all of yours. Put them
Yeah.
all away.
Gosh.
Put every single one away.
Just put that thing back where we came
So
from.
help me, so help me. I
Yep.
love it.
Some Monsters Inc. for you. There's another one where um my dad goes to a conference randomly at Virginia Beach, and when he would get up in the morning to go to the conference, I would get up in the morning to go run on the beach. And everybody, mo- more often than not, most people know "Love You Like I Can" by Sam Smith. And I am like in the zone, really feeling it, like going to
Yeah.
town on the beach, like having the time of my life. To where like I'm so in the zone that I didn't see that there was this random mound that I tripped over and immediately face planted, like bam. and and I popped up like a daisy. I was just like, hello.
Yeah.
And I looked around and people were looking at me and I'm like, oh, okay. But like, and my headphones fell out. So you can hear Sam Smith blaring out of my headphones of "Love You Like I Can." And I was like, oh my gosh. And my sneakers flew because I was holding them to run on the
Right.
beach. It was a mess. So that was like an embarrassing Virginia Beach story.
I love the
And then
idea that um I love, first of all, I love that song. Sam Smith, his first album was
yes,
spectacular. I think that one's Darkest Hour, Loneliest Hour,
I think
Loneliest
so.
Hour maybe. Um in the low end, whatever it is. Love You Like I Can, 10 out of 10, would recommend. I definitely can feel like the I'm not going to sing it
Just
because
like
that's a whole thing,
going.
right? Yeah. But no, I can feel it. I can feel how that's like a very adrenaline boosting, somehow sad song, but like we're here and we're running to it. And then you just landmine style,
Face
everything
plant.
goes away. Yeah.
Yep. Face
Good,
plant.
good.
Um, and then there was a time, probably this was like a few, a few years ago. Um, I was in Texas. This is why. Yeah, okay. I lived in Texas. And I was at like a Barnes. I was at either like a Barnes and Noble or some type of bookstore, and there was this cute guy that I had looked at and was like, "You're cute." And then
Mm,
like went about my day, and then he also like we made eye contact at one point in time, and he smiled, which is like the polite Southern thing to do. Um,
okay.
ooh, saucy. Um, so I was walking around the bookstore, and I heard a voice behind me, and it was him talking to like one of the workers. So I looked at him as I was still walking and walked smack into a bookshelf and then immediately left. I had books in my hands. I immediately left. I was like, "You'll never see me again."
I
Um,
just,
which is
oh my lord. Was it the whole like
which
head
is
down sprint basically?
it was like I looked back and was like, "Oh,"
Yep, there's the
like
face.
made a
There's the
face.
face.
Made
All
a
the
face. It's like,
chins. All the
"Oh."
chins.
Just like when I have no chin because I suck it into my
Yes.
neck. Um, and like had my books like this and was just like, "Yep," and then left. Yeah, I'm a just
I was
a
gonna say that's like
I'm a
run of the
catch.
mill style, like Disney Channel comedy type of incident right there.
Yeah, except we never talked and we never got together, and there was no romantic arc.
It was all smiles. No, hey there, little lady.
Yes.
That close.
Which is so
Don't
funny.
hate us,
No,
Texans. Darn it.
that was bad. That was
Darn
like
it.
creepy
Oh, well,
almost.
well, that's not fair.
That's not
That's not
fair.
fair. I tried really hard.
Did
I
you?
want you to give me a participatory award. Okay,
No.
good.
Good. So that one, and then I have a last one that's like more recent.
Mm.
And I think you know which one that one is.
Yeah, sure. Uh-huh. Yep, off the top of my head. All of
Nope.
them. Yep.
The one where I shit my pants in a meeting on Zoom.
So when you say it like that, no, I don't remember, but I'm excited. I'm
Oh.
so excited. Tell me more right now.
I was in a meeting on Zoom, and because everything is in Zoom and it's stupid. It's not stupid. It's very convenient. I'm very thankful that we can still communicate somehow in this weird time. But
Gosh.
but I was the main person that was speaking, and I'm talking, and I was like, "Ooh, well, I gotta
Yeah.
go." But I couldn't because I still had things to say, and, like, I couldn't and I had a lot of things to say, like, I was my time to shine, and it was
It was not
terrible.
my time to shit. It was my time to shine.
It was. And then all of a sudden, I was like, there it is." And it was like Bridesmaids, where she's like, "Oh, you're shitting in the street." I was shitting in my seat, and that was it. That was it. And I was like, "Oh god." And now the internet knows that I'm just an embarrassing fool. But I translate better in person.
You
Better in person.
I didn't know you actually pooped.
Oh.
Okay. Well, there it is. There it is.
Well, there it is. So now talk about your bunnies.
Oh my gosh. So I'm gonna hope that we have the knowledge to do this. So I can avoid saying all the words that I don't want to say because I don't want to say them. So I'm gonna ask Nick to totally input the video that I'm gonna talk about. So there's this video of Sophie Turner.
Well, speaking of Game of
Speaking
Thrones.
of Game of Thrones, so when the Game of Thrones finale season was happening, the one episode where Arya has sex and there's like the kind of ish nude scene, right? Um, that was around the time of Easter. So actually, no, we don't have to put the video on. I'll just say it, and I'm just gonna uncomfortably say it on camera for the rest of my life. So um Sophie Turner, the drunk goddess she is, she's on I think it was Snapchat at that point, and she's like, she's talking about like the episode going on, and then her talking about her on camera sister like becoming a woman and stuff like that, and she's like, it's talking about Easter. She's like, and there was a little bunny hop into that pussy, and that's the tea. So she says that. I think it's the
You
funniest thing.
forgot sis. That's the T, sis.
Well, no, she just says, and that's the tea.
You always finish it up with "that's the T,
Oh,
sis."
well, anyway, she says, and that's the tea. And then she takes a nice glug of wine, and that's what it is. So this happens, and obviously, if you cannot tell by the way that I feel about it, I laughed hysterically, and I'm like, this is going to be big. And of course, it is big, and a lot of people end up playing it. It's everywhere. It's great, right? So translate that to me being who I am. I was a first-year grad student at that point, and I lived with my very inappropriate roommate. We had a great time as friends. Everything was a joke. We watched Vine compilations nonstop every night, and so this to us was hilarious. So I would randomly text, I'd randomly Snapchat, hop into that pussy, and that's the tea, to him, right? No issue, right? Okay. So it's one night, right? And one of the common things about going to grad school is there's a lot more comfortability with communicating with your professionals, your professors, right, and whoever's doing your placements or your grad assistantship, what that type of thing. Texting is a lot more common than it is in undergrad or in high school.
Mhm.
So I forget why exactly I was texting my one professor, but it was late, and I'm just like, homeboy needs to go to bed. So I'm laying in bed, simultaneously texting my professor and my roommate, and I'm just texting, and I'm like, I need to go to bed. So I finish up talking to my professor. I go to Jim, that was my roommate, and I'm just like, hop on the lap, Jose, and that's the tea. And I send it away, and I go to bed. I go to bed, right? And so I wake up in the middle of the night or something, whatever it is. I think it's because I was trying to sleep and then I get a vibration and I look at my phone and I texted that and I texted that to my professor, and her words were, "I don't know how to respond to that." So naturally, knowing me, I'm one of those texting people that like I send like a sentence at a time almost and then send it out, right? So the text message chain that followed seeing that she did that was, oh, send, oh no, send, oh no, 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 send, this is not happening, send, this is not real life, send. And then I took the picture of the Cinnamon Toast Crunch character that's like in on, it's like scared, you know what I mean? I send that to her and I'm just like, this is not happening, this is real life. And then and then I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I'm freaking out. I FaceTime Courtney, who is our mutual friend that we talk about way too many times, and now she's your best friend too. I just FaceTime her and I'm like, Courtney, I don't know what to do. I'm freaking out. I said pussy, and that's the T to my professor. And it was my gosh, I'm still traumatized by it. So then I screenshot it, right? And then I send it to all the people that I was trying to like freak out about. And she's like, so the professor texted me back and she's like, she says something like, it's fine, it's not a big deal. And then we never talk about it. She is my professor, might I add. This was Easter time, my first year of grad school. She was my professor very many times after that. We did entire study abroad. You're just making things to me.
It was your first. I thought it was set your
My
second for
first.
some reason
And well, we
because I was still
we do
there.
all the things. She's still my professor for stuff. We go on a study abroad together, so I'm with her every day for extended amounts of time for like
It was brought
17
up during
days.
study abroad.
Oh yeah, it was brought up. She did it very maliciously and like almost not like jokingly attacking, but like it was very side commenty. And I'm just like, how dare you do this to me? Because you know how uncomfortable it makes me that this happened, and I'm so sorry. And
It's
yes,
still so funny.
she was a very great sport about it. And to this day, you would think that you would think I would have learned from this, but I didn't. I still 100% just send text messages without checking. I don't have some type of like beautiful novel of an experience where like there's character development. No, I am still just a spontaneous texter, and I don't look, I just do. So this will happen again, but I just won't text things like that. And that's the tea. Yep.
Chef's is beautiful.
So I'm so glad that made it here. I hope you all had a great Easter if you celebrate. And we are never saying that phrase in the presence of anything, especially Easter, again. Thank you, Sophie Turner. I hope one day to meet you and you can say it face to face to me so I can laugh but also die inside. Thank you. All right. So you did spontaneous stuff. I'm just gonna segue right into my spontaneous uh, section, and I wanted to talk about zombies. So I know this is so weird. This is so weird. So my my group of people that I game with, which we could call friends, right? I mean, they're kind of, I supervise them and we play games together. So I mean, I'm gonna call it what it is. So my group of friends that we play games together, we recently started Left 4 Dead. For those that don't know, it's just zombies, right? And you kill zombies. I am not a person that does the first player shooter thing. I am very much a Nintendo baby. Like, I will talk Mario for days, Animal Crossing for days, Pokemon for days, Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda, oh my lord, have played that way too many times for way too many hours. So, Left 4 Dead, not in my wheelhouse, right? So, we play it now, and it's fun. Whatever. I love playing co-op games with people, and so I was inspired by this, and I was like, why don't we talk a little bit about like our philosophy of kind of like the undead and like how we kind of land with the thought of that, but also like maybe a little bit of educational history on zombies. So I actually had a whole thing that's like, let's talk about where zombies come from and what made it popular. But I don't feel like doing that now that I'm here. So what I am going to tell you is just a little bit of what I can quickly find based on our beautiful Wikipedia. So, the English word for
Wikipedia.
listen, the whole part of this is that we are true to ourselves, and I love Wikipedia. And as someone who's supposed to be a scholar, I need to question Wikipedia. And so I do look at the sources,
I like that.
but I'm not doing that right now. I am just going to read it. Now, tell me what you have to say.
I like that you keep saying Wikipedia like it's Wikipedia.
It's a wiki or a wiki, whatever.
Wick.
Whatever. Get out of here with your technicalities. I don't want to hear you say anything right now. You brought up this story about me texting my professor. You get no buys today. You're just
It's
stop
so
it.
funny.
All right.
Listen, I talked about shitting in a meeting and walking into a wall.
Yeah, you're right.
Like,
So,
own your embarrassing shit.
well, not literal shit, but sure. So the English word
Own your
zombie
stuff.
was first recorded in 1819 in a history of Brazil by the poet Robert Southey in the form of zombie with no e at the end. So the Oxford English Dictionary gives the word's origin to West African and compares it to the Congo words um, Nzambi, which it has its ZAMBI with an N at the beginning, so I apologize if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, which means God, and then Zumbi or Nzambi, which means fetish. So some authors also compare it to the Congo word Vumbi, or it has Mvumbi, which means ghost, relevant, corpse that still remains the soul, and Nvumbi, which is body without a soul. So there's a lot of pieces in there that's, it's sensical, it's sense making. Like there is this piece of it. Usually when you talk about body, I mean, in my perspective of that time, which again, what do I know? I have a degree in English, and I don't know. I'm not a history buff or anything, but from my understanding of body without a soul, that's kind of like it's a dead being and it's coming back, right? So
Like a vampire.
correct. So
If we're gonna get into mystical
right.
creatures.
So the undead experience that can go in many different ways. To me, like vampires come in the form of like there's usually that blood transfer and you die from that process that leads you into the undead person. Zombies, you just die, and there's different ways that you come back, whether that's you died because of some type of like not genetic, I'm sorry, some type of like bacterial, viral, whatever that kills you, and then you eat brains or whatever. There's the like spiritual resurrection that makes a zombie type of figure, or I think of Frankenstein. That's more undead than zombie, but it's the idea that like dead pieces brought together can be not reincarnated, but like reanimated, I guess. So realistically, the 20th century kind of had this big upbeat in popular culture about zombies and where that all goes, and that really started with George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead from 1968, which was inspired by the novel I Am Legend from 1954. The word zombie is never used in Night of the Living Dead, but it was applied later by fans, and so that kind of led to this greater conversation of zombie films, such as Dawn of the Dead, Michael Jackson's music video for Thriller, and all that good stuff. So now, zombies have been everywhere. There was like I'm not looking at Wikipedia for this. This is now me. Thank you. All credit to me right now. There was this kind of peak around the Twilight era of, I want to say that was like 2006.
Twilight was an
Yeah,
error.
stop it. It was like 2006 to like, I don't know, like maybe 2013, 2012, 20 something like that. That was the Twilight era. And I want to say that zombies, while that has nothing to do with Twilight, that kind of had a resurgence as well. In terms of like the shooter
I
games and everything, there was always zombies in some sort. But in that era, we kind of saw a lot more in film, a lot more in literature. Uh, Tell me what you're
I
thinking.
think because I was in college when the second, maybe the first episode or the first season of The Walking Dead came out.
Mm,
And I think The Walking Dead is kind of when zombies became glamorized. And
sure.
I think that's kind of when that like that portion of time. Because then you had like The Walking Dead, I Am Legend, World War Z,
Right.
um, Resident Evil, the game and the show are in the movies.
Yeah.
But Resident Evil, I don't know about the other ones, but there's like I think it's three. I think Resident Evil 3 and 7 are zombie based.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Well,
I
I
don't
can tell
know.
you that
Um
based on the beautiful Wikipedia, that The Walking Dead came out in 2010.
so I was in college,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, again, there's this resurgence of zombies, and now I feel like we're slowly moving away from that zombie genre. I mean, we are way out of the Twilight thing. Vampires are kind of not dead, but they're re-dead, I guess. um, so I feel like zombies are also going in that direction as well.
I do think that vampires might have a resurgence, and I only say
Don't tell
that
me.
because
I knew you were gonna go there.
the the new Resident Evil game
The very attractive
has this
7 foot woman.
beautiful, beautiful vampire lady. Um, so I'm interested to see what that looks like. But that's also
Yeah,
gaming, the gaming world too. It might not
right.
be in
I don't
cinema.
know. But nevertheless, so I kind of wanted, now that we have a little bit of a history lesson, and I hope that someone learned something from all of that. I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on, again, we barely talk about us as English people of the literature perspective of things, but also um, as people who absorb media, and we are, what's the word? Oh my gosh. Never. Yes, we are a
Consumers.
consumer. Thank you for using words. I appreciate that. As consumers of media and everything like that, we all have kind of a perspective of zombies and whatever. So I'll let you go first. Tell me what your thoughts are, all
Oh,
things zombie, even undead, I guess, but more or less away from like the vampire piece.
oh yeah, we're not. They're two
Yes, yes,
they're two totally different entities. I had a very side note. I had a very interesting conversation with one of my friends in Texas, where I was like, Matt, which would you rather be, a vampire or a werewolf? And we can ask that question next time. But that was a funny conversation because then it got into like zombieism. Because like, what if there was this massive virus that went out and
sure.
like anyway. So I think for me, so I would say that probably my first remembered experience with zombies was 28 Days Later,
Yeah,
that movie franchise, and then 28 Weeks Later. Um and that was like that was just a weird time. Like those movies are really interesting. And then and I think I Am Legend, and then when like the zombie craze happened, because Walking Dead is actually
graphic
it's a
novel.
graphic
Yeah,
novel. So The Walking Dead is actually probably when I like got interested in all of that, but then but then when Shane died, I stopped watching. And I don't know why I stopped watching when Shane died because he was a dick. Um, but when Shane died, I stopped watching, and then dated somebody who we started to watch it together again, and then like periodically watched it with my family. Because I love Daryl. I love Daryl so much. Who doesn't love Daryl though? Like at the end of the day, who doesn't love Daryl? But
I've never watched it, so
oh, so yeah, so we'll keep moving. But I don't think I've ever consumed literature that had zombies in it, which is interesting because I for a period of time in undergrad did like predominantly did work with gothic
mm,
literature because that was kind of the path that I wanted to go. At one point in time was like I'm going to be a professor and do and teach gothic lit, but then I realized that like I would have to teach other facets of English to be able to be a functional professor, so that just became
usually.
more of a hobby. Yeah. So that just became more of a hobby. I think the really interesting thing about zombies is that like zombies are kind of what you make of them in the most undead way, because you have
Okay,
your stereotypical zombies of like the slow arms
right?
out, really slow walking, and then you get into like World War Z and I Am Legend where they sprint and they're
Yeah,
terrifying. Um so I don't think there's any kind of cookie cutter mold to like what is a good zombie. And then there's the comedic route with iZombie where it's this lady who eats brains and then absorbs the memories of the person that was
mm,
killed, and then she, like can exist but she has this bleach white hair and she's really pale. Um so I think like there's so many facets you could go. For me, um and then there's Rob Zombie. No.
oh my gosh,
For me,
I can't. Rob Zombie
I
needed to not touch the Halloween franchise, but let's just move right on. Let's keep going.
we can talk about horror stuff later. I think for me my favorite archetypal zombie would be like I like the fast ones because there's an element of like fear there, but if it was an apocalypse, because I am kind of a doomsday prepper, if it was an apocalypse, that would be the worst thing to come up on because
Yeah,
your fast ones are so sporadic and like they see a movement and they go to it. It doesn't matter, like it could have been a tree. Like they're immediately at that thing.
right.
So their movements and their actions are so sporadic and so just kind of all over the place that like sneaking around or trying to like find a safe house within that would be awful. Would be awful. You would want to have the slow walking zombies. Um I said slow and there was a lot of phlegm. I'm so sorry everybody
Oh my
listening.
lord.
But so I think that for me um cinematography wise, cinematic wise, the fast-paced ones make storylines 10 times more interesting,
Yes.
but I think to have a good storyline, you have to have a mix of both, and you have to have that unpredictability where, like, your characters aren't getting used to the type of evil that they're
Right.
facing. Zombieland. Well, how did I forget about Zombieland? Zombieland is chaotic, but I also really love
Yeah.
it. Um,
So,
Woody
so
Harrelson.
before we go into a huge hole, do you believe in
Yeah.
zombies?
So there's the ants that, I'm pretty sure they're ants that are like there's a species of ants that I think if they get a fungus, they die and then they like carry on like zombie like traits. So I think there's that reanimation that we still have so much we barely have discovered our oceans.
Hmm.
So I think there's still facets of things in biology that we're still trying to figure out and grasp and learn about, that like there's different funguses and how these things react. Like look at, not to like talk about a sensitive topic, but kind of look at COVID and look at how we've had a COVID kind of SARS virus strand forever, but then it mutated. So like, do I think it's possible? Yeah, because of how genes work and how things mutate and how things kind of evolve over time to like, because all living things want to survive.
Right.
Um so that it's keeping the strand alive of something that can create that. So I think we could. Do I think you and I will ever see that in our lifetime? Probably not.
Okay.
Um I don't think that when the world says apocalypse, my mind isn't, oh, zombie apocalypse. It's usually like, oh, the world is like falling in on
Right.
itself. Um, but I think that there's a possibility based off of
Okay.
science.
I mean, I don't disagree. So to back up quick, I will say, uh, well, I guess I'll go on that topic. So first, like, I think the way that I see it is in Game of Thrones. There's the art of reanimating post death. After, like, you kind of die in the same way that like a vampire dies and comes back, the way that they use the White
You're White
Walker,
Walkers.
right? Like they're basically zombies, kind of, but not. But like some of them are very decayed. So in the way that I see things like reanimation, in the way like I don't think people can be reanimated post X amount of time because muscles, like they will never be able to come back. Organs won't be able to come back. Those type of things. I think there's a piece there that's like it would have to be there's an immediacy there. Um, it would have to be an expedited process of like your brain switch it, boom, you're dead, but also zombie. I don't know. So I don't think that'll ever be a thing personally. But in terms of like back to the conversation of like literature and that piece, one of the things I find I used to love Frankenstein. The story Frankenstein's monster. While I don't necessarily believe I don't entirely know if it technically would fall under the zombie era, right? Because technically it's the idea of the different pieces being brought together to make a creature, and that's what the creature is.
Because there's a functional brain in
Right.
Frankenstein. Like there's a functional brain
Well,
in
Frankenstein's
Frankenstein.
monster, yeah.
Frankenstein's
Right.
monster,
And so
yeah.
like the problem is like yeah, a lot of people say like there was conversations in there about like religion and the idea of like being created into Adam, which Adam from the biblical story, like he was created from like dust, I believe, like out of almost literally nothing, right? So there's the piece there that's like these were real pieces put together to make a fool. So like I don't know, but it's the idea that like the creature was a fiend. They said a demon, the devil, that type of thing. Even like an ogre, I believe. Um, there's just pieces there that
Mhm.
like kind of make it zombie like to me. So I really liked in the past reading Frankenstein. I read it again years later, and I was miserable. It was a very boring read, and I was sad. But when I was looking at it in my feminist reading of literature course and looking at all of the things related to like what happens when you take the mother out of the equation for the birth cycle, right? Like a man birthed, air quotes, a creature, like what happens? It is an awful thing and it destroys the world. So, from a feminist point or the feminist lens of things, there's a very interesting conversation there that I really enjoyed. And then when I read it just to read it, it was very boring, and I'm like, this is which whatever. It's years old, very many years. So,
Because it will, and it's also written by Mary Shelley, which like in her time period, it was
Mary
like
Shelley.
my brain. There's nothing wrong with Mary Shelley, but like at her time, when she would have been popular, it wasn't common for women to
Yeah,
write and for women to write fiction. So I think that there's a really cool nuance there too,
absolutely.
going off of your feminine
Yes, the feminine lit. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Sure, we'll go with it. Yeah, so I would say, I think that was a piece that very much fascinated me. In terms of any other media related to zombies, I've kind of, like, like you can't see it if you're listening, but I'm pushing it off screen. I'm not. I don't know. That never really was my thing. I was a diehard Twilight person, and I apologize. I know that's bad. It's fine. That's what I get when I had a mother that loved it. My sister loved it. We went to all the midnight premieres. Um, I'm not mad at it, and the books were okay.
I mean, I read them and also watched them.
Yes,
I just think
Kristen Stewart makes me uncomfortable just watching her act. Back in that time, I'm uncomfortable. I really liked her in Still Alice. I'm not sure if you know that, but it was a great. Julianne Moore plays a woman with like early onset Alzheimer's. Great. She won like I think she won the Academy Award for Best Actress. Like it was very, very good. And Kristen Stewart plays her daughter in it, and it's amazing. So Twilight was just kind of a miss. And then they randomly throw the Loch Ness Monster in there. Like, what? So, yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Zombies, man.
I'm trying to think about like more zombie things, because you could really just get into. We could go into such a deep dive, and I know that we're slowly kind of closing.
Yeah, we don't need to
closing
deep
and
dive. We could have a
two
whole
things, but,
thing
like-
in the Octobers.
Oh yeah, we could keep on this horror route, because that's my favorite thing.
Absolutely.
It's my favorite. Because going back to the trends that you were talking about, because like how zombies got really big, I think maybe it might be spectral. I think spectral things might be bigger now in media.
Maybe.
And I say that because of Phasmophobia, but also like some of the films that are coming out. Oh, there's a new Saw coming out. I thought they were done with
Spiral
Saw.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was delayed. I think that's been almost trying to be released for like 2 years now.
Has it
Yeah,
been?
and is that Chris Rock, right? Okay, yes. I
didn't get to watch the
Chris
trailer
Rock
for it.
plays a cop, and it's more of like in the same way that Annabelle is kind of a piece of the Conjuring universe. I feel like it's that similar conversation of like he's the detective trying to find the background of the Saw franchise type of thing. Yeah, it looks really good. And Chris Rock, I think he is funny in the way that there's comedic moments that lead up to the inciting incident and stuff like that. But I'm excited if I were to see it, which I'm sure I will. I'm excited to see Chris Rock kind of take on that like horror genre, because I don't think I've ever seen him in that way. I know him from Grown Ups and probably other movies beforehand that I'm just blanking on right now. So
he was Grown Ups. Everybody Hates Chris.
Yeah. The only horror
Lots of
he had to
funny
deal with
things.
is being married to a very angry Maya Rudolph. Love Maya Rudolph. Grown Ups was great. The first one was good. I didn't see the other one. Maya Rudolph, 10 out of 10. Please be on our podcast. That'll never happen.
Perfect. But yeah, we could like go down a whole. I will leave you with this food for thought in regards to zombies, because I think like, and this kind of goes back to the conversation I had with my friend from Texas, where I think that if somebody wanted to play mad scientist, because like the world is kind of scary if you think about it in that regard, where like anybody could do anything at any point in time. Because somebody made Human Centipede, and that's still the freakiest thing I've ever seen.
Yes.
But I wouldn't put it past a discovery by accident of like an injection, like some type of medicine. So I leave you with that food for thought of like, what would that look like?
Okay. And goodbye. No, I have no clue how we're still trying to figure it out. Stay safe out there. I don't know. I didn't say safe. That wasn't a real one. Stay safe, Jenny.
I thought you said say stuff out there. And I was like, what?
Go speak out in that world.
Go talk about it. Yeah, follow us on all the things, and let me know if I should have my face on an Instagram. Let us know your thoughts about zombies, and we'll catch you next time. I don't know why I said catch. That was weird.